So I'm the BTC Reaper. I'm gonna go on this channel to teach you how to read the words of trading, whether the price is going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, we do have a possible bearish continuation as we have lower highs and lower lows, and they don't connect too well in my opinion. If we drew a parallel channel tool and we tried to pull it down, you would see it just misses that bottom there. So for that reason, I would not consider it a valid pattern. I would watch this range. We are going to delete this as this zone really doesn't mean much besides it is a heavy consolidation zone. So keep in mind, we could be trapped here for a little bit. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is weakening, VWAP is favoring bearish, we have a stronger low, so watch for a rejection. If we get a rejection here, then Dixie would continue lower, and typically crypto would continue up. Momentum does want to push up, and that money flow is bearish, but if that VWAP makes a rejection, we would reject that possibility. I will get on a graph for you in a bit, Abolisher. Glad to see you're with us. Hope you're having a great day. Over on the Dixie, we do have a gap to the downside, so this could be positive for crypto as well, because remember, gaps have an 80% likelihood to fill, and if we see Dixie correct down, then crypto will typically go up. VWAP is starting to favor bearish, so again, that is positive as well, because that can weaken us here. And we want that Dixie to weaken to push crypto up. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are seeing a pretty strong pump up, so this is not what we wanted to see, but we did have a very quick move down, and this is a pretty quick move up just in this candle. So that being said, we could retrace down because remember, a quick move one way usually has a move the opposite direction. Just like this quick move down, we did end up retracing that over the course of time. Remember, it's not going to happen instantly. This probably took over a month. This is December, end of December. This is end of February. So 2 months for this to move to happen. So don't get caught up in the day-to-day movements of your coin. VWAP is trying to push up, money flow is trying to push up, and momentum does want to gain strength, so that's not looking good for an altcoin season, because remember, if we're going to get an altcoin season, Bitcoin dominance needs to continue to weaken. Over on total for the daily, we do have a potential lower high. We did say watch out for a continued push down. We did push near our first Fibonacci level. If we cannot hold that Fibonacci level right around that 84483 level, then we will make that push down to that 749 like we've been mentioning. VWAP does want to push down. Momentum is weakening. We do have a red dot as that VWAP's breaking down, suggesting momentum does want to continue lower, and money flow is rejecting with them. So this does not look good for most of our altcoins, because remember, altcoins are going to follow total, and we do see some of our gainers from yesterday like Graph and Algo pulling back like we kind of warned against. They did push up against the rest of the market. Most of the altcoins were red yesterday except for a couple, and we said if total made a break, we likely would see those make a break as well. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is gaining strength, VWAP is pushing forward, momentum is gaining strength with a higher low, so watch for a higher high. If we get a higher high here, that could signal that we are gaining further bullish momentum, and things could end up popping off for us, but we would end up bleeding down if that VWAP cannot continue to hold bullishly. So just keep an eye on that VWAP. We need stronger bullish waves that hold over time, kind of like back here, rather than favoring more bearish like we are right here. So over on Bitcoin futures, we do have a push down here. So we did push down right around that 94K. We did warn to watch for this 94K yesterday. RSI is starting to pull back. Stochastic is starting to head down. VWAP does want to break. Momentum is pushing down with the red dot, and money flow is starting to pull back. So over on the 1 hour, we're going to need to see some bullish momentum if we're going to reverse away from this. So we did have a bearish continuation. A bearish continuation did break down, and now we are rebounding from that breakdown. What we need to see here is higher highs with higher lows in order to create a bullish trend and push us away from this bearish zone. But we also need to overcome this consolidation right around that 95K. Now, when we made our break, we did make a gap to the downside, so that is positive, right around that 97K range. So that being said, remember, gaps have an 80% chance to fill, and that means we could pump up and fill that gap. Again, that would be positive because that could create that higher high, which if followed by higher low, would continue to push us up. VWAP is gaining strength, momentum is pushing forward with a double green dot, and money flow does look like it is favoring bearish. But if that VWAP continues to push up and holds above this neutral, we could see that reverse. So over on Bitcoin, we did have that descending channel. We kind of got our break up. We did try to invalidate it at first. We will cover that in the 1 hour. Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is pushing down. VWAP is weakening. Momentum is pushing down. And money flow is pulling back. So overall, we're not the strongest looking, as we do have a lot of indecision in this range. So if we zoom in, we did say we wanted to see a continuation of a push up here. We did not see any continuations. We did kind of reject. We did expect a push down before getting our breakout. We got our breakout before we got that touch to the bottom, so that kind of invalidated this pattern because it made more of a bearish continuation, as we had lower highs and lower lows that did not connect, and that caused us to drop away. So our pattern did technically get invalidated because it did not get that confirmation bounce to the bottom like we said to watch for tomorrow. That bounce to the bottom would have been what could have followed for a break forward. And if we did get this break forward early, we would need to retest with a kind of weaker red candle. We got a very strong red candle, so that could have been another clue that we would continue to push down. Stochastic does want to push up. VWAP is gaining strength. Momentum is pushing forward. We do have a double green dot. If this can continue, we could rebound. We did hit that 93K. We said to watch that 93K as well. We did manage to hit that and continue forward. So if we see higher highs with higher lows, this could be positive, as we may finally see that momentum to push us to the upside. But if we see lower highs with lower lows, that's where I would start to exercise caution, because keep in mind, we do have that, like, I believe 76K gap. Zoom out pretty far here on futures. We do have this gap, yeah, right here, right around that 80K to around 77K. So we do have that gap range. That's why we've been saying watch this 93K for the last couple months, because that is a strong support level. And if we break it, then we could fill that gap. Remember, gaps have an 80% chance to fill, and they don't have to fill right away. Our VWAP is pushing up. Momentum is gaining strength. We do have a double green dot, so that is positive if that VWAP can get more favorable bullish momentum. Right now, the bears and bulls are kind of swinging back and forth. We don't really have much decision one way or the other. We need these bullish waves to hold, and then we need weak bearish waves in the bearish territory. So we need something more like here, where you have these lower waves, they aren't really pushing too far below that neutral, and then you have stronger waves pushing price up. So again, that's how that VWAP helps kind of show how price is going to go. So that's why you want to use your VWAP and help determine how volume is acting with price. Remember, that's what VWAP shows. Our stochastic does want to push down. RSI is weakening. VWAP does want to break down. Momentum is pushing down with the red dot, and money flow is weakening. So graph isn't looking too exciting right now. We did warn last night to watch for a retest of this channel if we did see total pullback. Right now, we are kind of hanging up on that Fibonacci level, but if we cannot hold above this channel, that's where I would watch at 11,057. But if we continue to move sideways at 11,057, could also be that retest. So watch that very close. If we can't hold either of those ranges, that's where I'd watch more for that 7716 drop, but that would be dependent on the slower time frames breaking down. Right now, we are trying to fight with that point control, kind of hard to see with that white line there. So we are fighting with our point control and attempting to break through. If we can break through and see a bullish push, then we could continue up and see bullish momentum. However, if we see further red candles here, we could continue lower, and since we are below that value area low, that may not be too positive for us, because we could end up creating a new volume profile in this range below us. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is gaining strength. Our VWAP does have a higher high with a higher low. So we do have a bullish trend here. If that bullish trend sustains, momentum will continue higher and price will continue to push up, breaking that resistance and then pushing up toward our other resistances at that 4,316 and the 16,316. So those are kind of my short-term price targets, is those areas right there. There's our links for you right there. So just in case you missed those. But those are kind of the short-term price targets we're looking at for the current trend that we're in. Over on Anchor for the daily, we do have some sideways action here. I would watch, because remember, sideways action after a push down does create a bear flag, and this bear flag could try to push us to the bottom of the Fibonacci range. I wouldn't see that as very much of a viable thing that happen unless we get some sort of black swan event. Stochastic is starting to push down, RSI is starting to weaken, that VWAP is starting to break down, pushing momentum lower with the red dot, and money flow is in the red, so watch that VWAP close, because if it holds bearish, we could continue lower here. Over on the 1 hour here, we do have lower lows with lower highs. They may connect, so we'll draw our descending channel. So our descending channel, they do not connect, at least if you're counting this high. If you don't count that high, we have 2 touches to the bottom, 2 to the top. So that means we may see another push down and then get a bounce forward, which may end up pushing us below where we are right now. Descending channels are a bullish pattern, but as they play out, depending on where you kind of look at them, they can bring you lower overall. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is gaining strength, VWAP is pushing up with higher highs and higher lows, and momentum is gaining strength. So if that VWAP continues this trend, we will continue to break forward, and that money flow can stay in the green, pushing those higher time frames up. So over on XRP for the daily, we do have a little bit of a round here, no problem, abolisher. Like I said earlier in the video, altcoin season's going to start when that Bitcoin dominance finally makes a break. Since Bitcoin dominance is kind of making a rebound, we could be delayed yet. And remember, we do have the ETFs, so that does kind of put us in a different market than we have had before, because ETFs are going to make individual coins pump. And if people don't feel confident buying a coin because it's not an ETF, because it's not as tested and proven as an ETF would be, that's how some people are going to think, then they're not going to put their money in all these other altcoins, and you may only see certain altcoins run up. Stochastic is starting to push down, RSI is starting to weaken, momentum is pushing down with the red dot, and VWAP is favoring bearish, so I would watch here very closely. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs and lower lows. Again, use your parallel channel tool, see if it connects. They kind of connect, so we may have a descending channel with 2 touches to the bottom and an attempt to make our 3rd touch to the top. If we can see a breakthrough and get a bullish candle counter to this long upper shadow, then we could break forward, but this long upper shadow is suggesting our pattern may get invalidated. Stochastic is pushing up, VWAP is pushing forward, money flow does want to gain strength because momentum is pushing up and VWAP is holding strength. So for those of you that don't know what an ETF is, an ETF is an electronically traded fund. They're going to be held by more traditional like banking people, so like stock people, and they're going to be looked at as from people that are buying like stocks. So people like Warren Buffett, their hedge funds like can't get the words out. Berkshire Hathaway, they're going to offer you some sort of a portfolio, basically. So an ETF is like a portfolio where it's going to have X amount of percent in one coin, another coin, and another coin, maybe 5-10 different coins, depending on how diversified that portfolio is. But that portfolio is what makes up the electronically traded fund, or ETF, and that ETF is what you're buying or selling. So instead of buying individual shares of each individual company in that portfolio, you're buying one share of your ETF at the price of the ETF. So if you have a $10 ETF, you put $20 in, you're getting 2 shares of that ETF, which is split among the percentage basis of those holdings. So if Bitcoin's 80% and Graph is 20%, those 2 ETF shares are going to go more toward the Bitcoin than the Graph. So I hope I'm making sense for you. Let me know if anything needs to be clarified. But basically, a hedge fund or some sort of brokerage firm is going to offer you this kind of portfolio. It's going to have multiple things wrapped into one that you buy that portfolio. Then you don't have to worry about holding those individual things. So you don't have to worry about having a Bitcoin wallet, an XRP wallet, a Graph wallet if you're buying the ETF. You just had to have a brokerage account, buy that ETF through your brokerage, and then you don't have to worry about all the security risks with holding your own keys. But that being said, you're open to the security risks that you don't hold your own coins, and not your keys, not your coins, not your money. So take that as you will. There are kind of benefits to both depending on what kind of level of risk you want. Everything's going to have a level of risk. You're not going to mitigate 100%. So take the risk you're comfortable with. So I assume, since you have no other message asking about any clarity, I hope I've made some sense. If not, reach out to us in that Discord, leave us a message, and we can clear some things up. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you all have a great night. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and join us in that Discord.